So, I have to admit, I had a really good time the other night with you and your wife.
Oh yes, we had a very fine time. You know, these soirees, we of the media, we are public people. We have to be seen in public. And so we go to parties, and me and my wife were hanging out at this very expensive restaurant with the cream of the city. And we said to ourselves, isn't it wonderful that we tell the news?
Actually, that kind of a job, I mean, really, sitting there and dressed up, you know, manicured. I think everybody has their own hairstyles.
Do you know how much I spent on this ascot?
10,000, I think, was the last one you told me.
Well, it was not dollars, though. It was 10,000 escudo. So that's pretty expensive.
That's a nice scarf. My kids, by the way, would like to go fishing again at your summer cottage.
Oh, it's lovely to spend time up at the cottage. We can talk to people you would never meet on a daily basis. People who chop wood. People who run boats. It's very interesting. And they love the news.
Well, I kind of like the fact that it's our boats and our motors and our brands that they're driving and using. It makes us very rich.
And so it should. I spent a lot of time putting my name on things. It's not only the news. We bring lifestyles. We show you how to dress. We show you how to talk. Enunciate your words.
I mean, the thing is, it's not just any Tom, Dick, or Harry can come and start reading off the news. There's a lot of schooling that is to be involved. Kind of weeds out the chaff from the wheat, I say.
Well, you know, they gave away some of the secrets when Albert Brooks made his dirty little movie and told people the secret of sitting on your coattails. Keep your jacket from rumpling at the back. It's like a politician standing up and explaining how to saw a woman in half. You don't do that shit, Albert.
These peanuts are really good. Did you get that box of cigars I sent you?
Yes. Havanazol. It's amazing what you can get in the United States.
Are we going to be getting another round of drinks for the table?
Oh, yes. Well, I've already paid for their bill.
I left my credit card at the front counter there.
Do you have the platinum or the new titanium?
I have the absolute top of the line, man.
What
when
is
you
it?
Drop it, it breaks the floor. It's so solid.
What is it made out of?
Oh, it's that plutonium.
Plutonium?
Yeah.
Like,
it's just a plutonium card.
It's a plutonium card.
Yeah.
It melts its way into the floor?
No. It was just a joke. The plutonium being that...
It's not real plutonium.
No, but I mean, you can sure do melt through a bank account fast
I hear
enough.
they made those. They made them out of depleted uranium. That's why they crack the floor when you drop them.
I suppose.
Quite sturdy. You can make anything out of it, like bullets.
Should we get some more wings? The girls seem to be having a good time.
These are fancy wings. I hate going to those plebeian places where the wings can cost you as little as 89 cents.
Can you imagine?
We pay $5 a wing. And we know we're getting the best.
Did you try the $1,200 hamburger? They actually have gold flakes in it.
I love gold flakes. Do you know, I passed a ball of gold a while ago. Enough of those little flakes will accumulate downstream, so to speak.
You're probably so rich you flushed it too, didn't you?
Just like panning for gold. You get accumulations in certain areas if you have enough foil that you've ingested over the years.
It's kind of a shitty subject.
I wasn't going to say it. No, but that's why I've seen children panning downstream from my house where the grey water exits onto the park area over there.
Yeah, we'll have another round of drinks, please. Thank you.
Where did they put it, damn it?
What, I heard you got a new boat.
Bring my flask.
I heard you got a new boat.
I got a new boat. It's a beautiful instrument.
What was it, a 42, 52 foot yacht?
I forget. It takes about 2 minutes to walk around the outside, though. So it's
about an hour to gas it up.
It's fairly extensive. Oh yes, once it's full of gas, we can drive for hours.
Hours?
Hours.
What's the bill? What's the bill to fill one of those?
Oh, have you ever purchased a smart car?
No.
It's about that expensive.
I don't think I own a single energy efficient vehicle.
Oh, we bought a bunch of them as a fleet for
Ferrari, Lamborghini,
for our news
couple of SUVs.
staff.
I got a Hummer. The car.
The amount of oil that goes to fill this yacht would run a fleet of smart cars for a year. It's amazing. It really is.
It's a good thing it's your oil companies.
Mm-hmm.
Cheers.
Cheers. You know what I'm upset about, however? I think that our marketing of lifestyles to the children is harming our children, and that's what concerns me.
What marketing the children?
You know, expensive brands, shiny toys, new technological wonders.
Like iPods and things like that?
Things like that. The Cabbage Patch dolls.
Well, Cabbage Patch doll isn't the same as one of those high-priced computer.
No, but I mean the same amount of resources that goes into making a Cabbage Patch doll will produce a portion of an iPod. So the numbers work out.
You got to keep making brand new things. I mean, every kid nowadays they've got them so.
It upsets me.
My pharmacy makes sure that they're constantly trying to.
Marketing dirties
more faster,
everything.
Bored with everything.
Marketing dirties everything.
What's with you? Marketing's made you very rich.
I know. But
so how can you sit there and complain about something that
it makes me feel dirty? I'm standing in front of you. I want you to go to your windows. I want you to open your windows. I want you to shout out, "I'm mad as hell, and I'm not going to take it anymore. I'm mad as hell, and I'm not going to take it anymore. I'm mad as hell, and I'm not going to take it anymore. I'm mad as hell, and I'm not going to take it anymore."
Check, please. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Zzorhn and Bingorage show.
Howdy, howdy, howdy. You see me out there in a stranger land. I hope you don't take wrong this flowery thingy here. I was told at the last moment that I was supposed to be an elite, a high roller fashionista type, a 1%er. So this was my attempt to transform myself from country hick to 1%er.
You consider yourself a country hick?
I kind of do. I lived in a big city for 10 years, but I still felt out of place all along. I moved back to the country, so to speak, and I think saved myself. Saved myself from probably petering out on the streets. Isn't that strange to think of? You can see a trajectory and you can change your life. The life I've lived since has been satisfying and tragic. It's been a good decision to leave the city and to come back north. It's been part of what made me me. Part of what makes you you is the decisions, of course, that you make. We're influenced on a daily basis by media, increasingly by the internet media, which is something we participate in at least. Marshall McLuhan pointed out that the television was a direct dump of information into your central nervous system. It was a never-ending pipeline into your subconscious. It was controlled by a relatively few number of players, but by making advertising available, they increase the number of people are willing to bid on your eyeballs and your consciousness. You are, if you're not paying for something, you are the product. Think about that. How much of what you participate in is free, you demand it is free, and you would refuse to pay for. I grew up in a time when people fucking paid for albums. Fucking people went out and bought 8-tracks, cassettes, and albums. Different media iterations of the same product. So we would pay multiple times for the same album, but still the copyright owners want you to pay again and again and again. People, I guess, are tired of repeatedly paying for the same product. I'm pretty sure I paid for Cher's Gypsies, Tramps and Thieves over and over and over again throughout my life. Why must I pay again and again for your intellectual property that doesn't actually belong to you, wasn't created by you, you big digital copyright owners? You were busy stealing these intellectual properties from bands for the last 50 years.
I feel like Don Cherry.
You know what this is? Go ahead, guess.
I have no idea.
That's Don Cherry without a shirt.
Oh, Jesus.
Sorry, Don, I love you. That's an old joke. It is Season 2, Episode 30-ish. News, the whole news, and nothing but the news. Now, I know we've talked about media before in the Media Apocalypse episode, but the reason I wanted to get back to it, and the reason Z wanted to get back to it, is because it is all-encompassing. It is kind of the thing that you are fighting and you don't even know it. Z, you wanted to talk a bit about news, the whole news, and nothing but the news, as a concept, how you want to turn it into like a recurring bit.
Well, the fact is, Eric, a lot of the media, the reason why we've come back to the media topics, or a lot of times in a lot of episodes we make reference to the media itself and why we say it's bad. Well, it's because of the direct influence that it has on a lot of the other things, the other factors in our lives. The media directly influences what you eat, how you dress yourself. It dictates your morals. In the case of like in shows of like Teen Moms, or you know, the little kids where they dress them up, parade them around, and pass these off as acceptable. This is all based on our acceptance of the media, and because we've been desensitized over the years. I mean, for an example of that,
so you grew up when television was the main media.
Well,
right?
Television was not really. We had 3 channels back in our home where I come from. We were country kids. We really didn't have.
Did you listen to a lot of radio when you grew up?
A lot of radio. I read a lot of newspapers. We weren't allowed to watch a lot of TV in our youth. In the summertime, my mother would take the scissors and physically cut the power cord. And it was only until we were a little bit older that we realized that we could fix that ourselves. But by that time, it was already too late. I mean, but she did, you know, she tried to get us away from the television. And it's maybe, you know, even without realizing she was doing so, she was protecting her children from the influence of how others want your children to think. And you're wondering to yourself, well, what is this guy talking about? Like, how can my child sitting there watching TV be affected by the programming that he's watching? Well, it's very simplistic. The ads are designed to get your child's attention. They're designed and they're repetitive. They're quirky, they're catchy, they're colorful. They've got millions of dollars invested in how to subconsciously affect your thought-making process. So when I say that the media has a big influence on your children, and well, adults as well, but I'm saying with children especially, because this is the learning age between 2 and 5 determines what a child's personality and things like that. It's a major portion of the child's development. And with the fact that the media is bombarding the children at a much younger age, is really influencing, how these people are developing later on in life. So this is why we're addressing the media again and again and again, is because it is engineered specifically to cater to the needs of those that own the company. Let me make that explain that one more time. If you own a news company, you will direct the news to address it, to suit the needs of how you perceive things, your political stances, your view on the world, how you think, your morality, your values. You would engineer your program, just like we've engineered the Zzorhn and Bingorage show. It's not that we belong to any political basis or one side or the other, left or right or anything. We're not. If anything, we try not to.
I acknowledge that all media is
not
neutral.
Right, that fair line.
No media is neutral.
No media is neutral.
If somebody is speaking to you, writing to you, giving you pictures to look at, they are trying to affect how you see the world in some small way, perhaps, or in some grand, consistent way, which is how you develop memes and movements.
So this is why we have this reoccurring theme of media. So we're going to just discuss it tonight. Now, the title itself, I want to and I know you always say not to do this, to over-explain things, but just so that you understand, a lot of the things that we say or do are parodies. We try to use subtle sarcasm. I'm not saying like direct sarcasm.
I got to remember when I'm being fictional and when I'm being mean.
So please understand that when we say things, we're not necessarily condoning anything. It's kind of, it's, you click on that button, it's buyer beware, user beware kind of thing, because
oh yeah, this is for adults.
That's right.
If you little pissants out there under 18 are watching right now, you got to turn this off and Google penguins.
Penguins.
Oh, they're cute.
Oh God. Why do you always say cute and then do this hideous penguin imitation?
Hey. Consistency.
Frick, those are the kind of penguins the sea lions catch. That one's injured.
There's something wrong with that fucking penguin.
Something wrong with that penguin.
Something wrong.
It's got crazy penguin syndrome.
Cheers. All right. I'm Eric C. Keast.
I'm Zzorhn Carlson. Welcome to the news. The whole news and nothing but the news.
Thank you very much. Today, news. Zzorhn Carlson will begin with a reading of the first 2 articles.
In top news today, the cigarette company in Canada has issued an order that all cigarettes that are sold within Canada must have their packaging with warnings that are 75% of the packaging of the cigarettes. Which means that if a carton is this big, you're looking at this much ability on the front of your carton to advertise what brand it is.
Scientists note that information is front-loaded in the pictorial regions of the brain. Therefore, we claim this is more than 75%. We think the picture should be smaller.
The pictures themselves depict graphic images of lung cancer and the wasting away of a particular 29-year-old who is suffering from lung cancer and other illnesses caused by her personal choice to smoke cigarettes.
Scientists note almost everyone gets cancer.
In this debate, the issue was that the cigarette companies had took the Canada. I can't speak. Took the government of Canada to court.
Would you like a cigarette?
Actually, I wouldn't mind a cigarette after the show.
There you go.
The government of Canada was taken to court by the cigarette companies and lost.
It is noted that most judges smoke cigars.
In other top news, Canada
is still planning to phase out its subsidies in oil, gas, and coal industries. Environmental Minister Peter Kent said Monday in the House of Commons. He made the comments in response to questions about recent post-media news coverage of Canada's efforts at International Environmental Summit in Brazil to block a firm commitment by all countries to phase out incentives for production or consumption of fossil fuels.
So on one hand, they have where they're explaining, the environmental minister is boldly stating that they're not going to block subsidies, and yet in our representation internationally, we are doing our best efforts and to cause a scene and embarrass ourselves in the international stage.
Now, as you know, Mr. Orwell pointed out, it is possible to have two contradictory ideas in your head at the same time. Do not worry about this.
In other international matters, in the United States, the 29-year-old Olympian runner has placed third place and will manage to go on to the Olympics in London for the Olympics in 2012.
How many legs does she have now?
She has 2.
That's it?
Yes.
I thought she was getting more.
No. The 29-year-old is recently made news headlines is that she is a virgin.
What?
This is the major study as to what has brought her 15 minutes of fame.
Praise Alleluia. Thank goodness for virgin athletes.
It is a widely common phrase, or widely commonly known, that the 29-year-old is probably a virgin because of the fact that it would be difficult for most young males to catch her. In thus, she has never been caught yet.
Ba-dum-bum.
And in weather news, we bring you over to Eric.
107 degrees in Phoenix, Arizona. 21,000 acres burned in the second largest fire in history for Colorado. Larmer County?
Colorado.
Larmer, Colorado.
It's the second biggest forest fire in their history in that state.
Well, you know what? When things get hot, it gets hot out there.
And this means that the firefighters are actually having to battle these forest fires in triple-digit weather.
I wanted to be a forest firefighter when I was young. They're like heroes. Only the start to hurricane season, and tropical storms already destined to hit the United States.
That's right, Eric. In what is almost to be a historic moment, when most hurricanes occur in August, the early arrival of the June hurricane, or tropical storm, as this one is classified as Debbie, in the Gulf Coast, is surprising scientists and alarming some politicians and insurance companies.
What are they ever going to do about Tropical Storm Debbie?
Well, the fact is that Tropical Storm Debbie right now is sitting in the Gulf of Mexico, and as there's triple-digit temperatures all across the United States, from Texas to Oregon to Arizona, these hot zones have created plus 80 degree Fahrenheit water that is feeding this monstrous tropical storm and quickly to become a hurricane. Now, what is going to happen is that this tropical storm, most forecasts indicate that it will be hitting landfall approximately along Louisiana coast, hitting Texas and barreling down into Mexico. If that sounds like a lot of territory, it is, because what's going to happen is it's going to barrel along.
We think
and
it's going to hit the heart of Texas. You know
it's
what
not going
that
to make
means?
real landfall. It's going to
you
just
know what
raise
that
the
means?
coast.
Debbie's going to do Dallas.
Debbie's
That's
going to
right.
do Dallas. In that so much, I actually, as a personal note, would like to say that Hurricane Debbie really doesn't strike fear into the hearts and minds of people. And if anything, I think
this is going to be a terrible fucking storm. We should name it better.
We should rename this storm something a lot better. I mean, if we're going to name something, you should have something that just scares the bejesus out of people. So we're going to rename Tropical Storm Debbie is now going to become Hurricane Sandowski. And he's going to start with a lot of sucking and blowing, and he's going to rape all up and down the coast.
That's right, folks. It is a terrible thing. Remember to vote this fall.
Just remember, there is no global warming. There is no global warming. There is no global
B is
warming.
for Blockbuster. According to the Hollywood Reporter, 20th Century Fox has acquired the rights to the beloved and iconic children's show Sesame Street. The film will be the first Sesame Street film of the 21st century. The Fuzzy Cast has previously appeared in 2 other feature films.
That's right. We're going to be bringing back icons such as Big Bert, Ernie, Snuffleupagus, and a lot of the other cast. I'm not sure if what they're going to actually do. I know Elmo will be in, most definitely. Now, we're talking about a television show that was made in the 60s and has been revamped in a lot of ways. If you look at, they have Elmo's Playhouse and
with modern technology, how we're going to be able to take these iconic things of your childhood imagination and twist them and use them to work you.
And just remember, in our society now, Ernie can't sleep in the same bed with Bert.
They're fags, right?
I don't know.
They were gay as shit.
I don't know.
Yeah, so Sesame Street has aired on PBS since 1969. It's been wildly successful. The show has won 138 Emmys over the years and has garnered a massive audience. Nearly 75 million Americans have grown up singing along to the alphabet song with Big Bird and Elmo. I saw a documentary with the guy who plays Elmo. It was really incredible. He was, I believe, the first black puppeteer on the Muppet Crew. No, not because it was like a hugely racist institution. It's just wherever they were from, whatever. But he was a really cool puppeteer, discussing the evolution of Elmo. He wasn't the first puppeteer to try and make Elmo work, but he found the voice and the personality of Elmo, and now he trains other people to become Elmo. It's really a very cool documentary.
Thank you for that side story there, Eric. In other news, and in related news with the Emmys, tonight marks this year's Daytime Emmy Awards. And what is unfortunate with a lot of our programs, we're forced to actually compete with some really great programming out there. Sunday night, 7 o'clock, it's prime time.
But now we run news 24 hours, 7 days a week.
With the Daytime Emmy Awards, we know for a fact that there's going to be a lot of people not watching that. So tune into us.
So we can make shit up that you don't have to see in other places.
In related news with the Daytime Emmys, it's widely rumored that Regis will be getting his Daytime Emmy for the first time, being as that this is his last year.
I was concerned. I saw Kathy Lee Gifford on a show early in the morning a couple weeks ago, and she said she was going to be hosting again with Regis. And I thought, that is surely another sign of the apocalypse.
Possibly. However, the show is now going to be Kelly Ripa's show, and we're not really sure who her co-host is going to be.
What's Regis going to do?
Regis is retiring.
Is he?
Yes.
I think he's dead. I think he died like 12 years ago.
And they just reanimated
him?
him?
He's an animatronic.
He just got his arms
I think
moving.
he's animatronic.
Move his arms! You moved them too far! Move them back!
In other news, gas prices are expected to keep going down for the next 4 months. The U.S. election is in 4 months. Boom. Thank you for writing me a joke. He wrote me one joke.
It wasn't a joke, actually. And for the last 3 weeks, it is splashed all over media about the lowering gas prices across continental United States. And in an interesting twist, the proclamations from these analysts think that the gas prices will continue to drop for the next 4 months. As you said, Eric, but the presidential election is in 4 months.
Yeah. And you can groan and say, well, that's an obvious joke, but I mean, we manipulate our enemies, we manipulate our friends in the world in order to present a certain shading of the world, in order to shape prices, in order to shape elections. you have to wonder what kind of big emergency is going to happen between now and then. It's one thing I hated when I was working at the time of the Bush administration, was all the terror alerts.
You're going to get fired if you keep reporting news that way.
Have you ever seen the movie Network?
No, I haven't.
You haven't?
I'm so busy with my research trying to find new news stories and try to adapt them so that my bosses don't fire my ass.
The next thing on the newspaper today: Muslim Brotherhood elected in Egypt. The most famous slogan used worldwide is "Islam is the solution."
Islam is the solution. That is so wrong. Sorry, that was outside my head, wasn't it? Oh, we're live. Sorry.
We're not supposed to be proselytizing for or against. We are reporting the news. We don't tell you what to think.
In an interesting twist, the United States government has reached out to the newly elected Egyptian leaders, expressing their tentative agreement and willingness to work together.
The United States, as well as all other colonial powers, have always been willing to work with a dictatorship because it's much easier to have a stable economy when you know that prices are going to be consistent and there's not going to be any labor problems.
I suppose the irony being is that a democratic society just voted in a fascist state.
All fascist states are voted in. Once you have power, then you
They'll just take it away.
With the voting.
Egypt won't be democratic for very much longer. Thank you. Come again.
The Brotherhood credo was and is: God is our objective. The Quran is our constitution. The Prophet is our leader. Jihad is our way. And death for the sake of God is the highest of our aspirations. The Brotherhood of Islam is all BS.
Fact is that you have an entire nation that is ruling their country based on a religion that encourages jihad, or these holy wars, finds it acceptable to behead other infidels, would block people, young girls, from running out of a burning building because they don't have the proper headgear to wear in public, find nothing wrong and don't protest when a bomb is thrown into a school. But when somebody decides to draw a cartoon of them and put Muhammad up at the top, they get really upset and protest. Talk about twisted morals.
This is the news, folks. We're not telling you how to think. Remember, Sunday's White House statement alluded to Obama administration's hope that the rise of blah 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 and his blah 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 will not get Egyptian-Israeli relations in a huff. For all his faults, Mubarak was credited in Washington with resisting 3 decades of pressure within Egypt to break the Camp David Accords with Israel or loosen its alliance with the United States. There's some complex stuff out there. We are on top of it.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning into tonight's news, the whole news, and nothing but the news. I'm Zzorhn Carlson.
I'm Eric C. Keast.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to be a reoccurring bit now from not necessarily every show, but when we find good news stories that we can bring to you and present them to you in a fun and timely manner.
Yeah, I gotta find that character. I think I wandered off a little bit.
A little bit. You're gonna get yourself fired. You know what you could do is keep that as your character, where you're just on the brink of being fired.
I alluded several times to the movie Network, where the main anchor loses his shit live.
Oh, I've seen commercials for that one.
And that's where the phrase "I'm mad as hell and I'm not gonna take it anymore" comes from. It's a classic movie. If you've never seen Network, watch Faye Dunaway unconvincingly bang William Holden, and it's a daunting picture. You need to watch it all. It's really important to understand how perceptions of the future of media in the 1970s, as seen by guys like Marshall McLuhan, and the producers of Network, these are not optimistic predictions. 1984, George Orwell, these things have come to pass in our time. The thing with the internet is that you now have abilities to interact with, respond to the flood of information that you're being presented with. And it's, I believe it's impeding our ability to communicate. We have individual flame wars and trolling sessions with people on the internet now about small details of belief system that we would never have gotten caught up with, and we have invested so much of our personhood in being right at some ridiculous point of culture. But also the big things that we feel passionately about, real big societal issues that we believe that we're on the right side, and all people should be able to believe it, to agree with. And I think it's there we need to make our changes in the future, trying to come to some sort of agreement with people who really don't want to like us, by kind of slowly finding the common ground with them. Does that sound too outrageously optimistic? Is it possible to make friends out of people who are total fucking morons and and don't believe what you believe?
No, is that a rhetorical statement?
No names.
Is that a rhetorical statement? I was just wondering, like, where you were going with it.
Well, I don't know. It's important. If the left wing and the right wing we're given 10 days to save the planet because we're going to be hit by a meteor, or 10 months, could we do it? Could we fucking stop arguing long enough?
I think the only way you'd actually get that done in that kind of a caliber would be through private enterprise. The rich would save themselves and fuck the rest.
It's possible. I have a
Sorry, was that really? That was really
it's possible. I have
really pessimistic.
I have a personal theory about Mars. Mars could be habitable for maybe 100 years, terraformed really quickly. If we could crash maybe several asteroids into the north and south polar cap, and we could create liquid water on the surface and an atmosphere that would slowly evaporate, but it would give us an emergency raft, maybe for a few decades. The problem with Mars, of course, is that it's so small, about half the volume, 2/3 the volume of Earth, maybe even smaller than that, that it cooled quickly and lost its magnetic field. So any atmosphere that it has is stripped away rather quickly by the sun's solar winds.
Kind of really got off topic again, didn't you?
What were we talking about?
Once again, Eric's train of thought decided to just go that way, or that way.
You got to follow to the logical conclusions. That's why it's important to record.
You just kind of have a traipse along the whole logical sense of the direction. Is not
what
our economy. Oh, look at the kitty.
What were we talking about?
Look at it. Holy.
This is a comedy show, remember? We said this before. Yeah. This is. I'm laughing. I don't know about you.
I'm not laughing.
It's because you're a fuckhead.
There. Now I'm laughing. It's amazing what makes me laugh.
All right. What are we supposed to be talking about? I've lost my point on this goddamn
It's
sheet.
simple. What is media entail that is so destructive in people's lives? What does media do to people, like in the development of the personality?
The problem is that people who grew up with television are not critical thinkers. They're not used to filtering the content that they're receiving from media. People who read newspapers, on the other hand, are more critical thinkers. They're more better at filtering.
But there's a difference between that, Eric, because when you're reading a newspaper article, you start at the top. In North America and in English written language and stuff, we start from the left and read to the right.
It doesn't matter.
Okay, in that it's segmented off. It's not like you're reading halfway through and all of a sudden some irrelevant content suddenly just gets put in the middle of it. Buy this now product. Okay, doesn't happen in that paragraph. So it's
Right.
the media. The ad might be down here, but you're not sitting there while you're having reading over the
Well,
material.
that's
You're not being influenced either subconsciously, directly, or indirectly, or any of that in any way in written material. Whereas, and I'm going to make it very, very simplistically, a young child, babies to young children, cannot tell the difference between the programming and the commercial. Scientists have proven this, and so in that, if you were a young child sitting there watching a program on TV and it's about this happy little whatever bouncing around on stage, so it ever seen, okay? I mean, that's just a typical child program, okay? And all of a sudden you have a commercial for this really cool, flashy toy that squeaks and shiny red and little broom broom brooms and squeak squeak squeak, and I mean the kid can't correlate between the fact that the happiness and the good program from the commercial that is advertising the wares. So when that child grows up, they see that and think that that's the way they're supposed to act when they get these toys, when they get in the stores. They sit there and have these big outbursts, "Mommy, mommy, mommy, can I have this?" Well, this is because of the way that they see these other children in commercials interact with each other. Watch commercials. Sit there and actually watch the body language, watch the subtlety of the commercials itself, and you'll actually see, like, for example, if you're selling a product, you stand up straight and you smile a lot, and you do this where you do little head wiggles and jiggles, and, "Oh, you should buy this because you'll be happy." And it's very fake, and people accept that because this is what they've been desensitized to growing up as a child. They just, "Oh, that's just a commercial." But what they don't realize is that subconsciously it's actually altered their perception of reality. And so in that, media has influenced how somebody thinks, their personality, these kinds of things. So this is why we're talking about media.
Shut the fuck up, Zzorhn. Can I talk now? What I wanted to interrupt you several times and agree with you, but I decided to let you
do my rant,
is that McLuhan theory really jibes with your observations. What Marshall McLuhan was saying is that every time a society or a culture changes its major media, it changes the way that people in the culture read information or accept information, programming at a large scale. And what I'm trying to explain is that before the internet was the TV, before the TV was the movie, before the movie was the novel, before the novel was the manuscript, and before the manuscript was the voice, before the voice was the image, and before the image, we're not sure, instinct. These are grand media shifts in our history which are accelerating in changes as we go forward in history. For the longest time, all we had was who knows what, some sort of bird call, wolf call, primate call thing. Somewhere we were infected by language. I say infected because it's what Terence McKenna believed was language is an informational parasite. Very similar to the meme theory, but let's not get off track here.
Oh, that's going on the blooper file right there. Sorry.
Well, getting back to Zzorhn's thing, is I believe that if children are exposed to reading first, then their first contact is with a media that requires critical thinking. But if their first media contact is with television, then that's a direct dump into their brain. They're being trained how to accept information passively. It's better to teach your children to read and to read to them first, so that they're better at processing incoming input from media. So I brought it back to what you were talking about.
It's nice to see you finally brought the subject back.
I got a little off track, but the McLuhan theory of information and media, it was very interesting. Before he died, which was in the early 70s, I believe, He knew that something was coming after television. He didn't know what it was. He thought it might be holograms.
I know what it is.
What is it?
Okay. You guys ready for this?
I'm not kidding. You're gonna go, wow.
All right. First of all, let's realize that with the technology that we have right now, you basically carry around your entire life in one little pocket. You've got little iPads, you got all these little things like that. Now, right now, this is how we're getting our media. It's being sourced to us through the internet, through the television, through through the devices, all these things. Now, where the next step in the evolutionary step is going to be is when you have surgically enhanced emplacement chips in your body. Here's the way it works. You'll have your smart device, whatever it is, okay, that would just sit on your body anywhere you want, or just sit on the table, whatever. Now, you'd have surgically enhancements in your throat, your ears, and back your hands, or wherever, they require, so if you want to go to the hospital, they take your hand and they just wave a little gadget over it, and boom, instantly have all of your medical records, any illnesses, any histories, everything they need to know. You walk into a store, you want to pay for it, you whop your hand over top of a cash thing, pay as you go, bink, credited by the back of your hand. The phone rings. You're going to sit there, hit a little button, and suddenly activate the enhancements in your throat and in your ears that will suddenly you'll be able to hear exactly what's going on through the transceiver, through wireless technology, through Bluetooth, will connect to your throat, to your ears. You'll sit there, everything you talk and say. You can have it so that you can have glasses that fit on the front. You'll be able to hit your wireless, download stuff, goes up into your ear, and be able to hear it and be able to watch the TV on your glasses in front of you anywhere you want. Here's how they're going to be able to sit there and advertise. Just like Eric said earlier in the show, he made the thing that the major reason why we're the product is because of free items. Mm-hmm. Facebook, for example, is a free item because it's actually not free. You're the product. They're collecting data on you. So the advertisements you're going to be being bombarded with are going to be the surgical enhancements that they have in your body that are collecting the data. As you walk around, you're going to be transceiving your temperature, your location, your calorie intake, everything. Don't forget, if you've got low blood or any of those medical problems, you can have those surgical enhancements to be setting off your little devices. No more pricking your finger for it, because your little device is going to go alert, and you're just out of nowhere. Oh, my blood sugar's low. Mm-hmm. I mean, so this is the next step in advertising.
Right.
Zzorhn's already proclaimed it. Am I right?
My belief is that Marshall McLuhan, when he said there was something after TV, he didn't know what it was the internet, was the next media. What you're talking about is the post-internet media.
Post-internet media.
Yeah.
And that's what I predict is going to be the future within 100 years.
This is where the debate is at. I think information is going to be ubiquitous. I think that we are going to enter the future, for good or for ill, in a way where all of your information is known, where everybody on the planet has an ID number, or everyone on the planet has a picture taken of them, everyone on the planet has a credit history, everyone on the planet has their personal details known. All of your email will be accessible, all of your phone calls. Let me back that up. All of your email is already accessible. All of your phone calls are already accessible. You shouldn't think about that conspiratorially. That's not the way to address it. It is just perhaps maybe the safest way we move into the future. The problem is, are we going to be 1984, or are we going to be the participatory panopticon?
See, that's the whole thing I have to argue. Is your microchip kid going to get microchipped by the society, or do you just choose to microchip your kid?
You choose to do it.
Really?
Yeah.
At what age would you microchip your kid?
Probably at birth. Maybe even before birth.
Wow. See,
genetic information.
I don't want to bring religion into it, but have you not heard of that mark of the beast? In the Revelations where they talk about...
This is a big thing in our culture. You know what people fear most? What human beings fear most is loss of individuality. That can be loss of their individuality to the oblivion of no afterlife world. This can be loss of individuality to the Borg. Why do you think that is so distasteful to us, that the science fiction trope of a hive mentality is anathema? We don't want to be part of a bigger thing. You know, it's contradictory to the concept of heaven. That's a bigger thing to participate in.
And answer me this, or riddle me this, there, Batman. If so let's say that you had a bunch of, and I mean, let's say swamp people. I love the show; it's great people. Living up there in Louisiana, it's about to get hit by the coast. Let's say, for example, that don't want to get microchipped. What the heck would you do? Hunt them down and force these people to participate in your government ID checks?
You know what? Microchipping is maybe a way to think of it. I think if the technology is so pervasive that it happens automatically, that nanobots are in the environment, and see, what you're worried about is the 1984.
I know that's exactly what's going to happen, and we give the people cell phones. First thing the cops got to do is they get an unwarranted search without
Janae Cassio, when he presented his idea of the participatory panopticon as an alternative to the 1984 future of full information. Is that you meowing?
No, that's not me. That's some cat.
When he presented his idea of the participatory panopticon, he said it's already happening. It's because people have camera phones. The state is not watching you. We are watching ourselves. We're putting it on Facebook. We're putting it on Twitter. We're uploading more than 24 hours of video per minute, I believe, to YouTube across the world. We are generating a growing snapshot of the planet and a growing snapshot of the society around us. This is considered a threat to authorities. It's considered a threat to politicians who don't want to be a part of the participatory panopticon they're building. They thought they were building 1984, but instead everyone gets watched. Why do you think that they just made a law in that people who violate Secret Service protection, I believe, or within so many meters of someone receiving Secret Service protection, can go to jail for 10 years for like protesting close to somebody who is meant to be the receiver of the communication that the protest embodies. Not only is it tactless to try and directly plead to power, it's being increasingly criminalized. Protests where you can't wear masks to protect your identity recently is becoming criminalized. Wearing protective equipment to protect yourself from baton beatings, that's being criminalized. If you have a shield and you bring that to a protest, that is criminalized. So you can't protect yourself, but you can still address government in the ways that we have available to us. You should write to your local representative, your federal representatives, a letter, explaining what you would like them to do for you. Enough people do that, that can have a big difference. You should participate. If you haven't voted, you need to register and get ready to vote. People say the vote is wasted. It's only wasted when you don't vote. I get your butt over here.
Get rid of that cat.
What was the matter with the cat?
Oh, neighbor locked him out.
Oh, poor cat.
Well, he's a spoiled cat. He goes back and forth between us and the neighbor.
It was funny though. He was listening and meowing in response to my words. Funny cat. That's a good cat. Good man.
Our economy is... Oh, look at the kitty.
All right.
Sorry, that's a great analogy of you.
What?
Oh, Eric.
What do you want to talk about?
What do we want to talk about? We finished up our media...
We're only 57 minutes into the show.
That's right where we're supposed to be with your puppet theater and everything.
I don't want to do the puppet theater now.
No, your art review.
Give me a minute. You talk for fucking
minutes.
more BS about your views on the world.
Oh, that's for the blooper file for sure, bud. Jesus. Why don't you tell him some more BS? You know your jacket clashes with my shirt.
Hey, give me my jacket. There, bastard.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Zzorhn and Bingorage show. If you're just tuning in,
you don't need to make shit up. Just talk to them, fucking like human beings, man.
I was trying to do my news thing there. What did you honestly think of that our news segment?
I thought it was corny. I couldn't believe how terrible my acting was.
See, here's what's going to happen with this news, the whole news, and nothing but the news. I'm going to try and explain it to you as very simplistically as I can. When somebody has to testify in a court of law, they are asked to place their hand on a Bible and to repeat, "I promise to stick to the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth," usually throwing a "so help me God" or whatever else, right? And so when we were looking for some sort of extra bits for our Zzorhn and Bingorage show, as we're progressing, we're finding that we're getting different types of bits. You know, a lot of the fact that we open with skits now. We have our introduction. We've got structure to our show, and these various bits
I think
providing
we need less structure.
They're providing some structure to the show, and in doing so, they kind of segment the show into chunks so that we can chew on and explain material to people, and hopefully, to our viewers like you, and try to, in a way that will educational and yet entertaining. And that's basically what this show is about. So with the news, the whole news and nothing but the news, we're trying to fabricate the fact that we've taken real news, but what we're doing is we're fabricating ourselves into its own pseudo-reality where we play our own selves. And in such, I get to play the character of Zzorhn Carlson, who myself not acting towards the camera, I am Zzorhn Carlson sitting, directing myself if I was a newscaster. And in so much, Eric's going to be playing his own personality, Eric Keast, that he brings to you on the Zzorhn and Bingorage show, but in doing so, he's going to be doing so in a media fashion where he's my co-host or my anchor or the weatherman.
I think it's a good concept. I think we should have fewer stories and just do longer riffs on fewer stories.
This is what this is going to provide us the opportunity to do. And the reason why we're coming up with this kind of interaction with you is one of the comments that was said to me this week from the last show was somebody asked us why we don't critique a lot of the material that's going on around us. We pick one topic and sit there and talk only about the topic when in fact each week there's all sorts of entertaining news or news that we find is contradictory, such as in the case of Canada, like talking about its oil subsidies. It's going to the summit saying, "Fuck no, you're not going to do that rule," but at home, "Oh yes, we're going to get rid of oil subsidies just to appease the people and to lie to them." And so we're going to try and make this done through subtlety, through humor, through inventive use, and that is what this bit is, the news, the whole news, and nothing but the news. Actually, I kind of like my attire.
I think it worked. I want to be the guy, like the character from Network, who finally just
loses it. And you know what you should do is we could work it in that you almost get fired every segment. Not that you lose it, just that you keep diverting and telling your own.
I think they're remaking that movie as a miniseries with Jeff Daniels now. They called it the Network, I think, or the Newsroom. The Newsroom. it's upcoming.
So this is, like I said, we're constantly looking for new ideas. If you're out there and you've got an idea, please send it into the Zzorhn and Bingorage Show. You can tweet us directly, Zzorhn and Bingorage Show. You can also visit bingorage.com and zzorhn.ca.
Bingorage.com. BINGORAGE. Bingorage, the other rage. You didn't interrupt me. What the fuck's your problem?
You know how hard it wasn't to interrupt you? It was so I was sitting there going, okay, I won't interrupt them this time.
Thank you.
BINGORAGE.com.
That's wrong. I don't like that. I don't like it. I like the slow version.
You just stumble on the RAGE.
Damn it. Move over a bit.
Sorry, I was doing a monologue.
Sorry. Did I interrupt you? Or are you?
Yeah, you
are
interrupted
done?
me.
Are you not done? Your idea on your monologue?
Did I not finish my idea in my monologue?
It sounded like you were done. It sounded like you'd gone over this.
I had basically finished up my monologue. As to what basically we were doing was we were describing what our new bid is.
Okay. I'm sorry I interrupted you.
Now, at this time, do you want to do your art review?
Sure, I'll do the art review.
When you brought this in this evening, I was looking at it, and the first thing I thought was Emo Walleye Classic. And there's a reason for that.
This here is the Ling. If you've never heard of the Ling before, it's also known as Burbot, Eel Pout, Ling Cod. I think those are the major names for it. It's a long, snaky type fish with big long fins along the top and the bottom. And it looks kind of like an eel, or what you think an eel should look like.
There we go. Now, so what I was saying to Eric is he's going to try and paint up a bunch of these kind of different fish pictures, hooks, baits, spinners, even some scenes of the riverside.
You think for next year at the walleye tournament?
And what I'd like you to do is we're going to be throwing up a booth for the Emo Walleye Classic, which happens on the 24-week... on May 24th, around that date there, the last week in May there, in Emo, Ontario. And one of the main reasons why Eric's going to be coming out to it's a really great event, is because he's very obviously, we do a lot of work with Ustream, and Eric's going to be joining the technical department on to help with Ustream, the dedicated line,
I would
making
like to
sure
do
that
some
we've got
live podcasts from
video
the
work,
Emo
things
Walleye
like that.
Classic.
So next year, have a good look. He's going to be doing the Emo Walleye Classic with me. It's been a few years now that I've been privileged to help with the event.
Well, it's a cool tournament that one fellow, especially from Emo, Lincoln Dunn, works tirelessly to organize and to get it going. Like that guy does everything in Emo, just about. He helps.
Well, that's just it. I mean, the thing is, if it wasn't for all these volunteers, the great volunteers, all the people that do all the work for the tournament every year, and it's the same people every year, and they do a great job. And I'd like to send a big shout out to all you guys there.
Damn it. Damn camera. You bought this cheap duct tape.
Dude, you're twisting my camera.
I'm sorry.
Are you really?
How's that camera?
Are you really?
Yeah, I'm really sorry. Look at me. I'm fucking sorry. Look at me.
Are you really?
I'm sorry. I'm a sorry motherfucker.
What is with your camera? It suddenly just has a mind of its own.
It's because I got no fresh duct tape. I used old duct tape to try and secure the camera. Look at all the duct tape you got on your camera.
That's right. We use duct tape on our cameras. We have a very low, limited budget. So, in related news with our artwork, our artwork is for sale.
Why don't you buy that Ling Cod painting for like $500?
and
That way-
sponsor the Zzorhn and Bingorage
Sponsor
show.
the Zzorhn and Bingorage show.
You can always be free to just send us money too. That way.
I want to cast a big bronze sturgeon that I've sculpted and make plaster mother mold so that we can sell copies of it. For only $180,000, you can get your name on a plaque and support the casting of this new sturgeon, and provide us with the ability to make copies and sell copies of it for the park, Spirit Fire Park. Remember, spiritfirepark.ca. Okay, well, what did you think of the Ling?
I think it's very good. Actually,
you didn't even bother telling me when I showed it to him. The first thing out of his mouth was Emo Walleye Classic. Emo Walleye Classic.
Emo Walleye Classic. You should pay more.
He didn't even say anything about the color. He didn't say anything about the fish. The tournament he's going blah 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 about. It's a different kind of fish. Can't even enter a ling in that tournament. I guess that's why they call it the Walleye Classic.
All right, I'm sorry, Eric. Let me explain the psychosis behind my talking about the Emo Walleye.
I just want to know what you think about the painting.
I think that it's so good that you should produce a whole bunch more and bring them to the Emo Walleye Classic so you can hang them all up, because I like your painting and I think it's cool.
No, that painting, that fucking.
You showed it to me and I went,
future paintings.
oh, no, I'm not. That's what my reaction was.
Why? Did you like the color?
I loved your use of expressionism with your color.
Did you recognize it was a ling?
Actually, I didn't get a chance to see what brand of fish it was.
See, that's what I'm talking about.
I just thought it was like some sort of a spirit fish or something.
You recognized it as a fish.
Yes.
Okay, that's good.
And that's why I immediately said, you got to paint more of them. That was a compliment.
At least he didn't say, oh, you got to enter this in the...
no, I'm sitting there
in
and
the International Falls Horseshoe Contest. Now, if he had said this is a horseshoe, then I would have been upset.
You know, part of my problem is I have a hard time communicating with people because I'm always thinking one step ahead of them. He didn't ask me how the painting was. I seen it and I went, wow.
Yeah.
You should paint a whole bunch more of these and put these for the Emo Walleye Classic so you can sell them and you can make some money for yourself and donate to the community and sit out there and come to the, this and that. And it's all because I seen it went, that's really cool.
You're confusing not thinking... You're confusing thinking ahead with not listening to what I'm saying about the painting. Or not looking.
I liked your painting. I think you should make more. Was the first things out of my mouth, not even Walleye Classic.
All right.
To what I'm trying to explain to you is I like the fact that you...
You like my painting?
Yes.
Okay. Let's see. Was that so fucking hard?
Yeah, it was. I don't know why, but that was.
My name is Consuela, the conservative blogger on Fox News that you all love. Today I'm reading with one of those talking heads who likes to talk about socialist politics. What's your name, sir?
Yes, I'm a Dr. Stone.
Dr. Stone. What's your first name, Dr. Stone?
Oliver.
Oliver?
Yes.
That's kind of faggy, isn't it?
By my parents.
You're not like that conspiracy Oliver Stone director, are you?
No relation, actually. But
are you sure? Show me some fucking ID right now.
I'd like to
right
at this
fucking
time,
now.
thank you for bringing me on your show.
You fuck.
It's kind of an honor. I've not really a big fan.
Don't believe anything he says. He's a propagandist.
I'd have to say that I don't.
Marxist extremist.
I resent those statements.
He probably participates in violent protests, and he's hurt police officers before.
Now we all know that that's not true.
I've seen it.
Now listen to me. I've never been involved in any illegal activity of any sort. I'm a proud senator. And
I see.
Worked in my communities for a long time.
We have
I'm
had
proud of my reputation.
Private detectives following you for several weeks now. You visited 831 4th Street West several times in the last year. Do you want to comment on that before I read any more of this report?
No, actually, I'd like to hear more of your report personally, because I'd like to see where you're going with this.
There's a single woman with a small child living at that residence.
There's a single woman that lives there, yes.
What's your relationship with this woman, sir?
Actually, she's a very good friend of mine, but what's your observations been so far?
I want to know exactly how far your agents are able to go into her house and invade her privacy.
Let's not get into that right now.
Actually, I'd be very interested in hearing that. I'm sure your
I want to
audience
hear
too.
more about your take on these oil prices. You think that we shouldn't be subsidizing the oil industry anymore?
I don't think we should be subsidizing the oil prices. The fact is that the communities are being forced by the oil companies
pays
to...
for schools.
Oil doesn't pay for anything
Oil
except for the oil
pays
executives
for
that
your
it serves.
roads.
Now, in that matter, I'm telling you right now that the oil pays for the
Oil
ones that drives it.
subsidizes
If
your
you have another
cars.
energy source that you could use, the fact is
Oil
that they choose
keeps
not
gas
to.
cheap.
See, it's people like you bloggers, you don't realize that when you
Oil keeps gas cheap.
Okay, now there's where you're wrong, and I'm going to tell you that it's not a conspiracy theory. You know that gas is the price of gas is not dictated by the government of the nation.
You know
the
you
price
pay
of
more
gas is
in
an
Europe.
international commodity.
We keep gas cheap here.
The only reason that gas is cheaper in any sense is because of subsidies. If the government stopped allowing subsidies to these oil companies, then the prices would reflect that of the actual world markets, and then the world markets would dramatically increase the price of oil, and in doing so, it would crush the companies
You know,
that
you
have...
sound crazy when you're talking and quoting about discredited science.
These are not discredited sciences. Now, your conspiracy theories...
Your people lie in order to accept green
You
tax.
have agencies that are
Carbon
boycotting,
credits.
they're allowing them where they
They
cannot
put their money
do
in
research.
investing in these
It's
carbon
illegal.
credits and taking
They've made it so
funds.
it's illegal to produce the evidence and the research that these scientists are going out that they're doing. They're laying off Canadian agencies and sciences all over the
you
place.
would lie to line your own pockets and tax the rich. That's your position.
I'm telling you
You
right
want
now
to
that
pay
is absolutely
for
false.
your social programs on the backs of the jobs creators.
I don't know where you're going with this, but these accusations are false. And
You would
I don't
like
see how
nothing
it
better
has
than
any
to
relevance
tax
with any of the questions that I've asked you.
America into the Great Depression again.
Would you like to answer some of those questions that I've asked you, sir? You've invited me to your show. You're offering me the chance to have an opportunity.
You have no
We're trying
answers.
I've given you answers, and I've asked you some questions, and I want to know. In order to have a proper conversation, it has to go both ways, sir. You're sitting there, you're just talking, you're not listening to me at all.
Unsatisfactory. You've given me no answers, no credible science, and you
Fine.
refuse to even listen to what I
Let's
say.
conduct your. You want an interview? Conduct your interview. Fine. I'll answer your questions, and when I ask one,
It's too late. We're out of time. Thank you very much to our sponsors, Shell and Mitsubishi and Big Pharma.
Why doesn't that surprise me at all? I'm telling
Good
you,
night.
stupid shows.
Good night. Good night. Thank you very much. This is Consuela. Good night. So what do you think? Did we do okay?
Yeah, actually, I think it was nice.
That was funny.
What was nice was the media apocalypse was different from this episode. I don't know if you noticed that, but I mean, we talked about media before.
Of course.
But we talked about it in a different sense.
Yes. Yes. I like that. I like that I was able to talk so much about Marshall McLuhan. I think it's very important to how people process media.
What did you think of my insight on the future ways that people are going to be marketed?
I think you're on. That's, like I said, it's post-internet. It's.
Oh, you don't think it's going to be soon? Like, I
don't know. Everybody's always talking about this kind of next level connection. You know, the noosphere. How we're going to be able to access all information, all other people instantaneously without paying for it, without effort. You know, we're all going to become this giant community, but it's not in our nature. It may be that the next level of consciousness, I think, is what you're thinking about, not communication. The next level of consciousness might be machine consciousness. Terence McKenna has this line, he says, monkeys don't go to the stars. You know, we may be bound to Terra, to Gaia, perhaps Mars. Maybe we can use Mars as a lifeboat for 100 years, but if we fuck up this planet. You know, the solar system has a lot of water, has a lot of fuel, but there's not a lot of places where you can grow tomatoes. So
it's all about the
quit
tomatoes.
fucking with the planet, folks.
It's all about the tomatoes.
It's all about the tomatoes. And if we have to run to Mars, I can't afford it, and neither can you. Guess what? This is our home. You're not going to Mars. You're not going to the moon. Fuck no. Anything else you want to touch on?
Actually, I do have a question. We kind of
Do
hit.
you want to go live again?
No.
Let's do it. Let's go live again. This is good.
Nobody's
conversation.
gonna care.
I don't care.
Nobody's gonna go on there now. It's past our
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We're recording anyways. It's good stuff. Why do you look at me like that when I say things like that?
Why do I look at you like what?
Like, what the fuck are you talking about, Eric?
Because I'm wondering, what the fuck are you talking about, Eric? I was just gonna ask you. I mean, earlier we were. Well, you want me to wait, don't you?
Just a second.
Just a second. All right, fine. Just
Hey, don't.
I'm not.
Don't run away. How's it going, folks? Z and I just finished news, whole news, nothing but the news. June 24th, 2012, year of the Mayan apocalypse. How are you tonight?
Good. Actually, I was talking to somebody about the whole Mayan apocalypse thing, and they were asking what's going to happen come December. Were we doing some sort of a big event or some big show or something?
I'm going to be sending a bunch of paintings to Finland. I have to get a grant from the OAC to help me pay for that. That would be nice. I want to...
Finland.
Finland, yes. So parts of me are going to be facing the oncoming impending apocalypse earlier in Finland, I guess. 8 hours before it hits us here.
So you want people to, you want the art council to give you a grant so that you can create art for the sole purpose of having it being displayed 8 hours earlier than it would be if it was in North America.
No. I've already created the paintings. What the grant for is just basically shipping and preparing them for mounting.
I see.
And the art project then is being there to greet the apocalypse 8 hours early.
So what happens if none of that happens?
Hopefully the Finnish people will buy them, so I don't have to ship them back. That would be nice. And then I think we're good. I think we're broadcasting now. How's it going, folks? Let me turn off the banner.
Little after hours.
Yeah, people. I don't know if anybody's gonna be watching this. What we should do is go on Facebook and tell people we're watching.
Why don't you just have it so you just save it? I mean, it's recorded live, but
because it's live, man. Talk to the people. What do you think about our show tonight? Did you like our show?
Did I like our show?
Did you like our show?
Actually, the thing is, it's a recurring thing. It's one that we keep coming back to. Is the media's influence, and I think it's an important issue. So, I mean, if anything, do I like the show? I thought it was very credible material. We researched the show. I know that I put a lot of material or a lot of time into developing the material.
I think the message you're talking about the form. You're talking about the structure. I'm talking about the message, the content, right?
Right.
Sorry about that. I just want to make sure we're good here. What? Why are you looking at me like that? Just talk, man. They're human beings. Talk to them.
I talk to them all the time.
I know, but we're live. I'm trying to do something to help them, and you're not helping me help them. Look at them. They want your help. They're future people. Look at them.
Hi, future people.
They'll understand. You're talking gibberish, sometimes, but
Actually, that's kind of interesting that you'd say that, Eric. I mean, the whole point I'd have to ask you is, why do we do this?
why? Because we're talking to the future. We're trying to talk to the present, but the present isn't listening to us. So we're talking to the future, right?
So you think that someday somebody's going to care to watch our show and go, gee, these guys are,
I don't know.
what? Entertaining, informative?
I hope so.
What do you think? What do you attempt to
We
accomplish with the constant production of a show?
We are post-television. We are not broadcasting. We're trying not to broadcast a BS version of the world. We're trying to broadcast a more accurate slice of the world. We're not going to show you everything, but we're not going to hopefully lie to you knowingly. We are talking to you like we talk to each other when we're not lying to each other. Or to friends and family or whatever. Are you a chronic liar?
Kind of
Is
like,
that your problem? Are you a chronic fucking liar?
We're kind of like going to your grandpa. He's gonna ask him a question, and he's gonna basically tell you the answer, the honest answer, and you might not like it, but it's the truth, and
the problem
so that's
is,
our show. If anything, I'd say
our big problem, I think, is that our governments are chronic liars. And if you've ever lived with a chronic liar, or went to school with a chronic liar, or had to share an apartment with a chronic liar, then you know you can't trust anything that they say, because that's what chronic liars do. They lie. And then they tell you it's for your own good, for the good of society, for the good of the nation, for the good of the world. There's always an excuse. But the truth is, you need to be aware of reality and the truth. This is where I think the participatory panopticon will level culture in the future, where we're connected and we're watching everything that's going on around us. That's not the 1984 version of the world of the future that governments thought they were buying when they started creating this kind of pervasive information collection. We are more prolific than they are. Everyone has a camera phone. Everyone has an internet account. We are talking. We're not just accepting information from above. We're discussing it. We disagree about it. We are Legion. We are the Borg, man. This is the future. This is the internet. Real participatory democracy, perhaps, is making your voice known, making your voice trackable, making your voice, your thoughts consistent. You flip-flop, people are going to know about it. Politicians, everyone knows they flip-flop. They don't give a shit. They lie anyways. They're professional liars. If you want to have a reasonable voice in the future, maybe you need to be a proven truth teller. Maybe you need to be someone who is fairly reliable in their opinions. Is not a hypocrite. Is not someone who says one thing in one situation and something different in another. Your credibility, what I think Cory Doctorow called woofy, might become your new currency. Your dependability, your consistency in a post-scarcity society. The idea of the woofy was, I believe, a credibility account. Your word and your actions, it might be the new currency eventually. Interesting concept. As if money's not worth anything, if computers are printing out food and toys, then what do you do if you're not going to pay for anything in a post-scarcity world? How do you pay for growth?
Wow, I just let you go, and you went from that top to this top to over here to over here to over here. And just, you know what you remind me of? Like when you talk, you're like a balloon. You sit there and you hold the balloon, you blow it up, and then you let it go.
No. I have direction. It may not be the direction you think it's going. I have reason. I have logic.